much. It's really an honor for me to be here among all these distinguished personalities, legal experts that made sufficiently clear already the case. But in my capacity as more than as a leader presently of an NGO, but as a former member of the European Parliament that has been many times in Ashraf and discussed many times with the UNHCR officials, and namely with the High Commissioner Antonio Guterres, this issue. I think that the time came to end all hypocrisy. We cannot go on assuming and pretending that there are obstacles or there are things we do not know that are obviously not serious and that are not acceptable. Of course, that we know, we just have to read the newspapers to know that, for instance, either Mr. Assad or Mr. Gaddafi, they call terrorists to everyone that are opposing them, and this is the natural response of dictatorships. And of course, the Iranian dictatorship is no different. The only difference has been in the means it has used to denigrate its opponents. It's absolutely extraordinary amount of funds and of political blackmail and political dark deals that it has been doing with this regard. And I had the opportunity of analyzing, of making a thorough study of most of the claims of so-called dissidents of the PMOI, and they are baseless. They have no, they are not credible at all. They are inconsistent. They are in contradiction. They are mere propaganda from the Iranian authorities. And I do think that the UNHCR has the obligation to know this better than all the rest of us. I was there in 2004 when several of these agencies were interviewing personally every member of the PMOI to discover if these persons had any intention of making violence or any sort of terrorism. They did it one by one, not one agency. I think there were 7 agencies doing these interviews. And they pressed as much as they could every individual member to leave the organization, to go out of Ashraf. And actually some of them did. They went to a camp, to an annex that was called the Temporary Internment and Protection Facility. Some of them because they wanted, obviously, to do so. Some others because they believed this was the way for them to get some status in Western countries. They would soon discover things would not be so easily. So this has been done. There is nobody forbids UNHCR, and certainly not the residents of Ashraf. Nobody stopped them from doing so. If they did not do it, it's because they did not want to do it. Let's be very clear. Iran pressed most of them to either to return to Iran or to pretend to be refugees and reintroduce them in Europe to make slanders against the PMOI. A lot of them did that. This is absolutely unacceptable. And whenever we have one of these gentlemen, like Ambassador Butler and so on, making this type of speech, I mean, we just should tell them, well, if you do not even want to know, how can you have the arrogance of making this sort of statements? So please stop the hypocrisy. Please stop trying to find completely extraordinary excuses not to do what you have to do. And what you have to do, and we have to say that here in Geneva, in front of all of these persons, and I will certainly say that to Mr. Guterres, with whom I worked for a very long time, and for whom I have a very big esteem, but I certainly will tell you, either you act, or you will be responsible for the slaughter of the people in Ashraf. There is no alternative. You have to act. We cannot stand still. And I will be saying this, and I will be willing to follow everyone and every possibility. We just learned by Professor Eric David that there are possibilities regarding the responsibility of the United Nations personnel, and we cannot stand still. This is something that we cannot adjourn anymore. Thank you so much for your time, and many congratulations for your very interesting interventions.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you also for what you have done in the European Parliament, because if at the European level situations has changed, it's because of people like you who went on Ashraf and bring back what they saw and explain how the situation really was. Maintenant, je vais donner la parole à Juan Garces. Vous avez la parole.